I'm going to answer a question about fluid bed sluices that I got from Raymond Schmidt, one of my patrons. But before I do that, I wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who helped me with my pump question. Fernie is over by the pump in question. To cut a very long story short, in my last video, I said this pump was a nightmare to get started because I couldn't get it primed. The problem I had was I believed at the time that this was a bleeder valve and that it should have been up the top here where this blank is. And what was happening was this pump was getting airlocked. Now, a lot of people said you grab the hose and you jiggle, 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 and that'll force water up into this. And that's what we have been doing to get it started, but it takes a lot of effort. Then I found out that apparently Keen have put this on the side to run a hose off so that when people are underwater dredging, they can wash out crevices. But I'm not using it for that. I have to use this as a bleeder valve. And I couldn't for the life of me work out why it wasn't on top, but everyone just suggested, why don't you put a 90-degree elbow on it? Like, there's a reason I'm called Spud Engineering. Why didn't I think of that? It's a brilliant idea, so I will be doing that in the near future. Now, Raymond, a fluid bed sluice is this one right here. This is a fluid bed sluice. Hang on. Loud, aggressive noises. A normal sluice box, you'll have material that's classified down to suit the capture system that you've got in your bed. And you'll dump your rocks here because you want time for the rocks to stratify. That means that the heaviest material is going to sink to the bottom and it's going to be touching the bed of the sluice. It's going to come up onto the mat, and then the first thing that gold touching the mat runs into is a capture system like this, and all the lights get washed off over the top. But a fluid bed sluice works a little bit differently. So we still have a really long run on the bed, and that's to do the same thing. What we want is for this bed to have enough time to get the gold to sink right to the bottom, but we also want, if you can see, a channel that narrows. And the reason that narrows is to pick up velocity, because this has a pre-built classifier before its capture system. So the gold travels along on the bed, all the big rocks go up over the top and shoot off the other side. Now, and the gold should fall into the capture area. But under here, as you can see, up the other end there are two intakes for water. So you've got water running over the top of this bed, and you've got high pressure water running in here. And the reason that you want that high pressure water is because these tubes underneath it, I wonder if we can see it. Yes, we can. These tubes have holes in it. So remember, you've got fast water coming in here. It comes into these tubes, and what that creates is some down pressure. So think of these like spray bars on a high banker, and that causes a boiling action. So everything down the bottom here stays fluid. That continues to stratify the material. Fernie, have you brought me a toy? Oh my God, Kong Wobble. Thank you. That continuous stratification of the material is going to force the gold to sink. Even though you've got this high pressure water coming in over the top of it, it's too heavy to lift it back up. That high pressure water at the same time is forcing things. You've got to remember the water is coming down and rolling back up both ways. So it's lifting everything light back up into the fast water, because you've got fast, high velocity water washing your main rocks over the top here. And then you've got your gold and your classified material trying to sink in. The gold's going to be able to sink because everything's being kept fluid, and everything light that's being pushed back up by that high pressure water is going to get ripped off by that fast water and come out of this little ejection port here. Now that's sealed, obviously. It's just perspex so you can see into it. These sluices are really good. They are really good. So a number of years ago, there was a company called Croc Gold Traps, and they're no longer in business, but they made some really, really good products. This is a Green Mountain Gold Trap fluid bed sluice from the US. Now, I used it for a number of years. They work well on fine gold. They are incredibly efficient because you don't need to classify, because it classifies for you. They're pretty light for what they are, and you can process a lot of dirt with them. But the problem is you need depth of water and you need velocity. They're not like a sluice box where you can kind of build a dam and get away with running a little bit of water. You need like at least that much water depth to fit over the back of that and give you the pressure. If you don't have high velocity water, it's not going to work because it's not going to run those jets properly. So you need fast water and you need deep water. So it's not suitable for me in all the areas that I've got to work, except at the moment because there's a massive flood going on outside. I am not 100% aware of all the companies that are currently making these. I know Green Mountain Gold Traps, which I believe that is their sticker right there. If we can kind of see it, they are still in business, I believe, and making these. And I don't know if, I think Snake Water was making one as well. But if you've got the money and you want to try some different kind of sluicing and you've got the water to run one of these, they're really cool and they do work exceptionally well. Not to discount that these sluices don't work really well. These sluices work exceptionally well as well. It's not the equipment that you end up buying, it's where you stick it. That's the goal. It's just where you're using your equipment and how often you're using it is going to dictate your results. So if you want to try a fluid bed sluice, there's nothing wrong with them. They work fantastically. But just be aware that there are a few things like the water that you will have to make sure you have to get them to work properly.